There's been more violence in several parts of Johannesburg, despite repeated calls for calm from various sectors of society. A charged group of demonstrators targeted the famous Maponya Mall in Soweto overnight, looting several stores and causing widespread damage.
Yeah, there are currently no reports of any casualties from the latest spate of unrest. Now, President Cyril Ramaphosa has denounced the sporadic violence, which first emerged in KwaZulu-Natal before spreading to parts of Johannesburg at the weekend. Some people claim that the unrest is in response to former President Jacob Zuma's 15-month imprisonment for contempt. Ramaphosa last night said that those responsible for this violence will be arrested and face the full might of the law.
In the past few days, we have seen sporadic but increasingly violent protests in some parts of the country. Key infrastructure like national roads have been affected and blocked, slowing down the transportation of goods and services that keep our economy running. Property has been destroyed, cars have been stoned, people have been intimidated and threatened, and some have even been hurt. I even heard that some people may have died. These acts are endangering the lives of people and damaging our efforts to rebuild the economy. Our Constitution guarantees everyone's right to freely express themselves and to engage in peaceful protest. While there are those who may be hurt and angry at this moment, there can never be any justification whatsoever for anybody to embark on violent and destructive and disruptive actions that negatively affect the rights of others. It is a matter of concern to all South Africans that some of these acts of violence are based on ethnic mobilization. This must be condemned by all South Africans at all costs, as we are a nation committed to non-racialism and non-tribalism.
Let's stay with that address. Ramaphosa saying people found guilty of breaking the lockdown regulations will receive the stipulated penalty.
Of all the people of South Africa, whatever their language, their culture, their religious beliefs and race are, our commitment to our democratic constitution is based on the fundamental principle that all people are equal before the law, and that all people have the right to equal protection before the law. The rule of law safeguards against the abuse of power. The rule of law protects the poor and the vulnerable in our country. Since the advent of democracy, institutions like the Constitutional Court have been at the forefront of improving the lives of South Africans. Let us be clear, as a nation, that we will not tolerate any acts of criminality.
Now, Newzroom Afrika's Nicholas Bauer was monitoring some of the unrest last night in Johannesburg. He found this report.
The aftermath of a day of looting and violence on the streets of Johannesburg. The handful of protesters we have spoken to have said these protests have all to do with the unjust incarceration of former President Jacob Zuma. But among the people that are burning tires and barricading roads in the city of gold are opportunistic elements keen to take advantage of the situation and loot and rob businesses. At this point in time, it's unclear how long these protests will carry on for. But the protesters that we have spoken to have promised that until their demands are met of Jacob Zuma being released from incarceration, the protests will continue. The police have also promised to maintain a heavy presence in and around the Johannesburg CBD, not only to quell the unrest, but also to ensure that it does not spread to other areas in the city of Johannesburg. For Newzroom Afrika, Channel 405, I'm Nicholas Bauer in the Johannesburg CBD.
So that's the situation in Johannesburg a few hours ago. Let's get you a sense of what things are looking like as of this morning. Take you to KZN, where we touch base with our Karinda Jagmohan, who's at the Durban CBD for us. And Karinda, by all accounts, it looks like the looting continued overnight.
Absolutely. Good morning to you. Good morning to our viewers. Yes, the looting has continued overnight. I'm outside one of these ShopRite stores in the Durban CBD, and as you can see, there's chaos on the ground. There are goods everywhere scattered on the ground, and the store itself has been broken into. Lungelo Zungu is behind the camera. Lungelo, perhaps we can get a little bit closer here and show our viewers what has happened here in the Durban CBD. Now, as you saw, scenes overnight showing how people have come through. Now, this is essentially had been spurred initially by the Free Jacob Zuma protest, but what we can see now is essentially criminal elements adding to this and taking over and looting parts of Durban. Now, this is only one of several areas in the city that has been affected. Actually, you can see behind me, people have been coming in trying to get what they can, and just now someone passed us and he had his arms full of some drinks and other goods as well, and we asked him to speak to us, and he said he's afraid because he would be shown on TV and getting arrested, and he said he's just hungry, he just wanted to get a meal, and he saw an opportunity to do this. And this is the scenes that we are seeing across Durban, people coming through and trying to get their hands on whatever they can. But what I must also tell you, Ayanda, is that we have not seen a police presence on the ground. In fact, moments ago, a Metro Police vehicle passed the store and simply went past. We have not seen any efforts by police to try and quell the situation on the ground. There are many other areas across Durban, across KwaZulu-Natal, that look like this, where the shops have been broken into and essentially the goods within have been looted. Now, we are going to be on the ground. Our next step is going to be the Umlazi Megacity Mall, where we saw overnight much of those stores looted completely, and this occurred for quite some time, with police not really trying to get the situation to quell what is happening. But right now on the ground, you can see people still trying to get into the store and get whatever they can. We will hopefully try and speak to some to see about how they are taking part in this, why they are doing this, and what is happening. But what I can tell you right now is Durban, the central parts of Durban and surrounding areas are a no-go zone. Part of the N3 highway has been closed because of demonstration and protest there, and essentially there is really, you can say, sporadic volatile situations occurring across the city as the protests continue today and as we await that rescission application hearing.
Karinda, it looks like the looting is still continuing right behind you. Is my reading of the situation accurate?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, we are going to attempt to go closer. We're just going to make sure that we can be a little bit safe as we do so here. Lungelo, let's try and come a step to this way. But you can see essentially the doors of this shopping center has been broken into. People are still inside. They're still looting whatever they can. The looting, yes, it is ongoing. Started last night, we saw in areas around, especially around the main parts of the city, and still continuing. This is not the only store that we saw in the state as we got here. Major malls as well as supermarkets as well. I think the same elements. Here's a police vehicle. You can see here just driving past, not essentially taking any action, driving past. They're patrolling as usual. And here, of course, we can see that people are upset about the media being here. But right now, what is happening is that people are just also gathered around watching this unfold. They're watching this unfold, and I must tell you that also, when you get a bit closer, there are people who are intoxicated here as well, which is an issue and, of course, exacerbating the situation right now.
Of course, your safety is of paramount importance, Karinda, and I'll get my cue from you about whether or not you can continue speaking to us. But let me also get a better sense of how things are looking like in the greater CBD region. You're showing us just one store in one corner. How widespread do you think this is?
It's absolutely widespread. This is just one of several businesses. You've got entire malls that have been looted over the past day. In fact, since Thursday, there have been, as we know, these sporadic requests, sporadic flare-ups of violence across the city. But now we see it's reaching to the point of people starting to loot, people starting to take advantage of the Freezima protests. You can see here, Lungelo, we can show people going into that store. It's okay, sir. Thank you very much. Of course, we've got some issues where there are some people who are trying to also come through. I must also tell you that there are some here that are inebriated. Apologies to our viewers for that. And you can hear glass breaking inside. Glass is completely breaking. And what could be happening is that you have almost little fights breaking out in the street as well, as people try and get some parts of their looting. But this continues across Durban. I must tell you that we hear major malls, Reservoir Hills, parts of the Gateway Shopping Centre, we understand areas in Claremont, and especially Megacity and Mlazi have been among the worst places affected. But you can just see even fights breaking out as people try and confront each other. It's right here, Lungelo, over their various loot. This man has been here intoxicated for some while, now trying to confront some of the looters. And this is what is happening across the area. You can see here people trying to get whatever they can off the street. And it